Hi, another little knife review today. Another knife picked up from Heine Haynes. This is a CRKT blade, Columbia River knife and tool, and this is the Fulcrum 2 Compact. Now, CRKT makes some really nice knives, always at a sort of pretty keen price point, so sort of you can always dip in and sort of try out some interesting designs without putting too much sort of financial outlay. The only CRKT knife that's currently in my collection is this, which is in some ways similar to this because it's got an interesting opening mechanism. This is the Van Hoy snap lock, now discontinued. Check my channel if you want to see a review of this, but you know, like the Fulcrum, it does have quite an interesting opening mechanism. Also like the Fulcrum, it has been discontinued. The Fulcrum 2 here has not been discontinued, but its predecessor was. And just as I was getting into knives, probably in, well, I don't know, probably 2010, something like that, this was the predecessor to the Fulcrum 2 was discontinued. So I always wanted to get my hands on one of these or one of their siblings. Now, quite unassuming if you look at that. Stainless steel bolsters, stainless steel blade, textured plastic handles and back spacers. You know, nothing much to write home about until you get onto the cool factor, which hopefully I'll demonstrate now. You don't often see many knives open like that. Technically a liner lock. It's got an interesting sort of cammed mechanism which opens it up. And we'll get into some close-ups in a minute just to show how that works, but really fantastic little mechanism, really fascinating, very sort of effective one-hand opening, actually quite intuitive once you get into it. And you know, that's what really caught my eye with the Fulcrum in its last iteration. I've always wanted to get my hands on one of these. So just looking at a knife, as I say, stainless steel liners, stainless steel bolsters, textured scales, back spacer. The blade is pretty standard. It's 8 CR13 MOV, which is pretty much the favoured steel of CRKT, as far as I can tell. This has got a nice sort of grey, sort of semi-matte finish on it, which is actually a sort of titanium nitride covering. Designed by a gentleman called Russell Comer. Looking sort of on the internet, Russell Comer seems better known for sort of custom fixed blade hunting knives, not this sort of design, but nonetheless I think he's got a long-standing relationship with CRKT and he's come up with this rather interesting design. So let's just see that again. Really cool, really satisfying to play with, and actually pretty functional once it's in hand. What I would say, and really this is all down to the design of the knife rather than the quality of the knife. If you look through there, you'll see there's a few odd elements, and we'll get into the close-ups in a minute, but the stop pin, obviously because the two scales work apart from each other, stop pin doesn't go right the way through, and the pivots are actually offset, with one actually guiding the scale along a sort of arcing track. Because of that, there's not play really. There's a tiny bit of flex in the knife which you wouldn't find if you just had a single pivot and stop pin, sort of bolting everything together. But you know, pretty well put together, pretty strong, and obviously, really, what this knife has got is this amazingly cool deployment mechanism. Okay, so we'll just look at the pocket clip there, single position, and then maybe we'll get into some close-ups. What I would say before the close-ups is there's something about this design which makes me think that you could exploit this, you could modify this, and I think there must be a way of disengaging this lock bar or chamfering the tang on the blade such that it's, for UK users, it's readily foldable. So in the same sort of spirit as the Grant and Gavin Hawke Beetle, you could have a knife which deploys in a really cool fashion, but when you're holding it, rock solid, but it doesn't actually lock to satisfy our laws. So if anyone's sort of clever with how to modify knives, I reckon there's an opportunity there. Okay, well, as I say, this is available from Heine Haynes. Really nice design, fascinating deployment, and yeah, really nice little knife. Really glad to take a look at it. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like my channel, please subscribe. If you're into knife reviews, boots, denim, outdoors kit, fountain pens, all that sort of stuff, please do take a look. Right, we'll go in for some close-ups, and then we'll wrap up. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, coming in for some close-ups. As you can see, the nicely textured plastic handles there, textured bolsters with a slight concave face to pick up your thumb, because that's obviously what needs to happen to get this working. Like that. And in there, hopefully you can just about see, if I can get it to focus, you can see that there are in fact an offset pivot there. On the left, that's guided through a track. On the right, that's your pivot proper. You've got your liner lock, and if you unlock that, you can see there's your pivot proper, and can you see where it's going in the track? Not quite. Let's run it through. But very interesting mechanism. There's the stop pin, obviously. And as I say, I'm sure there's something that can be done here to change the way this works so it's not reliant on the liner. I still think it needs to detent, so something needs to be in there. You can't just cut the liner out. But very cool little design. Now, just by way of comparison, as I tend to do, just for scale, that's the UK PK. So you can see it would be, I believe, the right length for a UK legal knife if you could get rid of the locking mechanism, and obviously the well-known Victorinox there. But as I say, really interesting design. CRKT do some really nice little knives, really good sort of value, and yeah, they work with some nice designers, interesting mechanisms, and generally very good quality. So I hope that's useful, and please like and subscribe. Okay, thank you very much. Bye bye.